Welcome back to another episode of Cobra Kai Companion. I'm Peter. You guys, continuing the part two of season six interviews. I have not a first time couple, but it's a couple. It's been a while, but I have Juliana Ramos-Ortiz and Justin Ortiz, who played Maria and Diego respectively. How you two doing?
Doing great.
Doing awesome.
How are you?
All right. Well, first off, currently Cobra Kai is still number one on Netflix. How do you guys feel about that?
So stoked and so grateful for all the fans. Like we've gotten so much love outside of Netflix. I can only imagine how the views are on there, and it's really exciting. We're so grateful.
Yeah, so grateful. I think it's well deserving as well because how much hard work and so much talent that was put in for this second part of this last season. Just tremendous talent all around from numerous martial artists from around the world that actually came together for this second part. So it was really cool. And to
A
see,
little meta, right? Just everyone from all around for the Sekai Tekai.
that's right.
So
Yeah.
That's right.
yeah, well, congrats on that. For the being number one. And the night of like the Tyson and Jake Paul fight too. So all right, so let's learn a little bit about you guys. You guys are so accomplished. Both martial artists come from families of martial artists. Jules, you consider yourself like a movement artist. Can you guys both just kind of talk about your upbringings? Usually I say, like, are your families supportive of like what you guys want to do? But you guys were kind of born into this. Well, what was that family dynamic like growing up?
Well, I was born and raised on the mats. My mom and dad had a karate school while I was in the belly. So you could say I was doing martial arts since before I was born. And all my uncles had karate schools. So it was something that was around, but I was not forced to do it. So when I got into kindergarten, I fell to kindergarten peer pressure and all the kids were telling me, "Ew, karate's for boys," or "You can't do karate. Karate, you have to do gymnastics and dance and cheer." And so I listened and I stopped. But at 8 years old, I came back to it and I still remember that day clear, like so clear the memories when I was like, oh, yeah, this is what I love. And I came back to the martial arts and I had karate fever. And from then on, it's been game over, you know? And it's led to so many different outlets. So I was able to do dance and cheer and theater and creature work and motion capture because I was a solid martial artist. It gave me the movement to be an artist in any category.
It's amazing.
Thanks.
And then, yeah, I was pretty much born and raised on the mats as well. Literally born on the mats. I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. Uh, no, my father is my instructor, my original instructor in Shotokan Karate. And I remember for my third birthday, I was given a white uniform and my first ever karate lesson. And he took my leg, he put it on top of a couch, which at 3 years old, that was like a skyscraper to me. And he said, "Hold it there and don't move." And he left the room. And I was there for minutes crying, holding my leg up and shaking. And all I can hear from across from a different room, "You better not cry." And I had to hold it in. And then I remember he came in and I was like, "Oh, finally." And he was like, "All right, now the other leg." And this is my first lesson, which comes full circle because like I'm known, we're both known across the world for our kicking abilities. And it was because of that first lesson that really started. It's kind of like this blood sport kind of theme and kind of training that led me to kick the way I kick, but led me to be one of the fiercest competitors out there actually in the world because I became a world champion in fighting, karate and kickboxing. And then I became a professional kickboxer. But martial arts was always great to me. Being raised in the projects in Boston, it took me out of the projects and gave me a better life and many opportunities. To travel the world and get to know many people through the martial arts. And I love it. We still practice it. We still continue to train as many different styles as we can. I currently hold 4 different black belts in different styles, and numerous other belts in different styles. But I'm always a student of the game, and I use that in my stunt training and my acting training. Like I've always wanted to be a student and learn the craft, and I always want to be the best at what I do. And as you can see, my character kind of displays that.
So how does a boy from Boston meet a girl from Miami?
Ah, so funny story is it was in Minnesota for a tournament called the Diamond Nationals. Now this is known as like the Super Bowl of karate. Like
Mhm,
grand championship winners win like this actual diamond ring,
mhm.
which I have won, and it was a big deal for fighters to win. Um, and I remember being at that tournament, and my nickname is Hotfoot, and also known as the King of Kicks. And I see this person coming up on stage. It's like, up next, Queen of Kicks, Juliana Ramos. And I was like, what? And then my teammates were like, hey, Queen of Kicks. And I was like, all right, hold on, we'll see first, and then you'll see. And I saw her compete, and she was absolutely stunning as well as beautiful. And I was like, she's gonna be my queen. And years later, she'd be my queen, but actually also her parents.
Yeah, so my parents had a karate school and they were trying to book him to come out and teach a seminar at our karate school in Miami. So at this tournament, when I got off stage later on, my mom introduced me to Justin and was like, "Hey, by the way, this is Justin Ortiz, and he's probably going to come down to Miami to teach a seminar." And I was like, "Oh, hi, nice to meet you." But there was just this instant chemistry. Like we met each other and we almost instantly started dating. We were attached at the hip, could not leave each other's side. And yeah, it's game and game from there.
Yeah. That sounds like a karate movie in the making, like yeah. It really is. I saw you guys' photograph the other day of you guys really young. I don't know how old it was, but it was really, really cute. Just like, oh man, they go back, so I had no idea. Um, Jules, you dabble in a lot of different stuff. You have a very inspiring story, and I know that it can be kind of emotional, and I think it's important and worth sharing if you're willing to. But an accident that you had when you were 15.
Yeah. So I'm gonna do my best to not keep my emotions on my sleeve. As an actress, I think we really do keep all of our emotions, all of the range of emotions really close to the surface so we can pull from them to do our work. And sometimes talking about this story just lets them come out, but I'm going to do my best. When I was 15 years old, I was in a really bad car accident and I had like fractured my clavicle, my knee, something with my ankle, but the most difficult part of it was that there on the x-ray was a crack in one of the vertebrae on my back. So they thought that my back was broken, and hence 72 hours of not a drop of water, not a crumb of food, and a ton of morphine. And I just remember my mom being at my bedside and me telling her, I I I feel depressed. I am so sad because all the news was doctors walking in and saying, "Hey, we're going to do our best to get you to walk again." And the first thing I would ask would be, "Okay, but when can I start training again? When can I go back to martial arts?" And they were like, let's be realistic. That's never happening again, but we may get you to walk again. And that's huge. And I just remember like bursting into tears. Not a great mental health place at the moment. And then my father started fighting really hard for me to get what at the time was kind of experimental and really expensive and hard to get approved by insurance, a 3D MRI. And so I got it approved and it showed that a wing of my vertebrae had chipped off and relodged into the bone. So it was sitting on top of it. And it wasn't that my back was broken. Well, a part of it is broken, but it was the crap. The crack wasn't a crack, it was just a line. And so it was going to be okay. But I had so much physical therapy I had to go through. And eventually I set the goal. I said, if I'm able to walk and train, I'm not going to take this for granted. I will not be doing just the bare minimum anymore. I'm going to go big and I'm going to start competing at world championships. And from there is when I earned my world titles and defended them ferociously because I had given my life for them, really.
I
And
think,
yeah.
yeah. that's an amazing story. Thank you so much for sharing that. I know it can't be easy, but I feel that can maybe help somebody that's listening or tuning in at home. Just that little push that somebody can use if they don't have that support system at home or something like that. I my youngest daughter, she is 6 going on 17, and she's surrounded by brothers. And so, like a story like this, I find very inspirational, and it's something that I can share with her, so, um, so you guys, as you guys will you rehab and you get to a point where you're able to continue martial arts. For the both of you, when did you guys decide that you wanted to get kind of get into film? And specifically, is there like any like a movie or a story that really inspired you to kind of point you in that direction?
Oh, actually, as far as like my journey into martial arts, like my first ever movie I ever saw, I was 3 years old again, this age, was Rumble in the Bronx,
Okay.
Jackie Chan. And I remember watching him, and I was like, man, this is absolutely. I mean, being 3 years old watching Rumble in the Bronx, you can see how like that's like an
With
eye
the bottles and the base bat too, like a
Oh,
baseball
oh
bat,
my God, everything like that.
that's
That's where
brutal.
or came from,
Oh
where
man, he's
the
legit.
elements of
Yeah.
breakaways, the elements of like comedy fighting, like just all that. Like it was a work of art that was super beautiful. And like to see that at a young age, I was like, I want to be like him. I want to be like Jackie Chan. Like he's an amazing martial artist. Like a lot of people talk about Bruce Lee. My idol was Jackie Chan. Like I honestly, I like Bruce Lee. But to be honest, not that I don't care for Bruce Lee because he's definitely an icon when it comes to the martial arts world and especially in the film world.
And he's
Um,
opened so many
and he's
doors and
opened so many
opportunities. Yeah.
doors. But Jackie Chan, as far as being like a realistic stuntman, someone that really
Mm,
showcases a story through his body, tells a story through his character, that was someone to watch.
And he had range.
And he had
He
range,
did
yeah,
so many different
yeah.
things and excelled at them.
But
yeah.
but I didn't know at the time, but me being wanting to be a martial artist was definitely that. But getting more and more like into theater and stuff, being in high school and stuff like that, I started to look at Jackie Chan as an actor a little bit more, and realizing just the terminology that we use nowadays as stunt performer and not just stunt player. Stunt performer is a stunt person that knows how to perform and tell a story with just his body. Jackie Chan was the apex of that, and so
Mm.
you know, Rumble in the Bronx definitely was a good segue to everything in my
Hmm.
life. So yeah.
Yeah, I think the first time I heard the term stunt performer was with you guys were pictured with him recently, G-Rod, Gabriel Rodriguez. That's the first time I've heard of a stunt performer. Is somebody just beyond stunts, they also act and have the lines and stuff like that.
Oh,
So
yeah. Well, we call ourselves stunt actors,
okay.
because I feel like the general, like if you want to be really good at stunts, you're not just a stunt player. You have to become a stunt performer. You need
Mm,
to sell a story with your body,
Yeah.
whether you're doubling or you're just playing an ND character in the background. You need to know how to sell a story. So, and that's how you could tell the difference of calibers between like just regular stunt players and those that are stunt performers. And then there's the next level, which G-Rod is definitely at that level. And that's the level that we're rising to, which is the stunt actor, and being able to tell the story not only just with your body but with your dialogue as well. And
Hmm.
yeah, I think it's been a great journey. It's been a blessing, and we've just been learning and learning and growing.
I don't think people realize how much effort goes into being a good storyteller when you don't have your voice and your facial expressions to tell the story. And so this isn't like general common information, but stunt performers, when we show up to set and we're doubling an actor, we are breaking down the same script. We are breaking down the same character, but everything that we do is done with a purpose to tell the same story. So if in the script. I'm watching at Video Village how my actress breathes when she's lethargic. I'm watching what she does with her hands, or nuances and fidgets that she has with her fingers, or ticks that she has when she shows that she's angry. All those little details I start to pick up on, all those mannerisms, so that way I can also portray the same character when I don't have my face or my voice to tell that story, but I'm doing action and she's nervous and she's got that tick. Or she's not a technical fighter, but she is scrapping for her life. How does she lean back when she throws a move, right? So, everything is done to tell the story. We just don't get our voice and our face when we are just stunt performing. But when we are stunt acting, that's when it all comes together. And it's putting two different crafts into one. And that's why it's so difficult and hard to find. But when you do find them, or you see a good stunt actor, you can be like, wow.
So how do you guys get into like kind of just coaching and stuff like that? Justin, I believe you coach Paula Ray Taylor.
Oh yeah, yeah, I was at a gym called Action Craft. Actually, quite a few of the performers that were on there were I was able to coach. But a lot of those people on there, they already came with tremendous ability, especially Paula. She's she's an amazing judo practitioner, and she's a hard worker. So she deserved every bit of it, and she still trains so hard, harder than most people out there, which I'm so proud of her and so happy for her to be able to accomplish that. And she wanted to be on Cobra Kai, and she made it happen, which was awesome. And I know based on her work ethic, there's going to be more for her, and especially her skill set. Her judo is amazing.
Top notch, yeah.
Top notch.
Agreed. And I think our coaching came from the martial arts, right? So before we were in stunts, we were overseeing like 6 martial arts schools in a martial arts organization. We came from the martial arts business industry, and we weren't just, I will toot our horn, like we weren't just phenomenal instructors on the mat, but we really dedicated ourselves. Like what we were really good at was being the instructor's instructor. So teaching people how to teach, so that way they could reach younger kids and learn how to teach them, or the older crowd, or even just adults that are trying to learn self-defense, and how to teach and keep different people from different walks of life engaged and competent. And so just translating that to the skills that we learned in stunts is how we got into coaching, because we already had that instructor skill set.
That in the seminar world, because we still currently go around the world teaching seminars in martial arts, because we're world champions at it. So we want to give back and teach our craft and try to give as much information as we can to the next generation to be their best. And I think just having that motive was always helped too when it comes to teaching others, whether it's acting or stunts or martial arts. We're always trying to bring the best out in them. So yeah, it's definitely the martial arts for sure has always been that foundation.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's incredible. I can listen to you guys talk forever. Um, Now with all the coaching you guys do and the stunt work, Jules, like how are you able to find time in like writing and you know just anything that's not in front of the camera? I watched Hit Me, which you co-directed. Justin, you were stunt coordinator. Can you guys talk about that project?
Yeah, so we love film. And so it's really important to us to get very familiar and comfortable and exercise in every department, and behind and in front of the camera, all the different things that go into making a good film, especially the action category, because, right, it can get very repetitive in the fight district, but learning how to tell a story, or be funny and still have serious action, or be very serious and still find the comedic moments within the action, and all of that is really difficult to learn through a book or through watching videos. It's something that you have to get hands on with. And so Hit Me was our first, like, hey, let's test the waters. Let's test out how we do in each one of these things. And we learned so much from it. things that we didn't expect to learn, things that we knew were going to be challenging, things that when we finished the project, we were like, hey, this isn't bad, but like now we know how to make it way better. And so it's really set us up for success to continue to produce even better projects in the very near future.
Yeah, I thought it was you mentioned, just want to be funny and stuff. I really like the kind of the opening sequence, Justin. You're the I kind of forget what you're credited as, a little kick to the nuts on the ground there, or
Get just beat up. That's what I get.
It was
That's what I
just,
do.
it was
I just get beat up.
yeah,
a guy,
There you go. It
nondescript.
was an ND guy, but still showing his story.
yeah.
Um, but I think the biggest thing is we don't really get much sleep because we constantly think about things like we're creatives. We love to create. And whether we're creating something for Instagram or for TikTok, or we're creating something for film, or we're creating something just for us, or we have a new idea, or we want to, create this new concept, there's always things coming into our head. And I think, and that started again from the martial arts, creating forms, creating demo teams, all this stuff. It's like kind of seeing that vision and putting everything together to create
Not
that
being able
vision
to sleep until you
until it's
had it
done.
figured out. Yeah.
And that translates again to what we're doing. Like we hardly get sleep because we're constantly creating or thinking of new things or things that we want to do. And so when there is downtime, we'll create a video, we'll do a short. Recently I directed a short that's going to be coming out soon
In the
in
film
the
festival
film
round.
festival
Yep.
circuit. So that's going to be awesome. But like, she was my producer, and it's because she brought all the good pieces together. And my creative brain started putting all these things together for this little short that we had. It was just, and we couldn't stop, thinking of things to put in and to do and how to go bigger. And I think that's why we love it, because we know if we can't stop thinking about it, obviously we must love it.
Yeah. And I think the most valuable piece of information there is that if you have an inclination towards something, go towards it. I feel like we live in such a generation or like a society that tells us like, okay, well, what's plan B? But if you go so fiercely towards plan A, you don't need plan B. You will figure it out. Go for it. And sometimes we overthink things or we just sit there, oh, we spend so much time planning it to be perfect. Progress over perfection. Go after it and just learn along the way, and that's what we spend a lot of our time doing. And the way that we do that is through to-do lists and time management. So just writing everything down and just execute, go, execute, go. Did we run into a roadblock? Let's figure out how to overcome that obstacle and go, go, go. And win or lose, we're learning.
Yeah,
So
you're
it's
bound to
always a
make
win.
mistakes,
Yeah.
right? And we always talk about, failure is not an option until you quit, right? So we just keep going, keep growing, and keep learning. And that's the key. Always staying a student.
Defeat does not exist in this dojo, right? That's a
That's
That's
right.
right.
there you go.
Yes, stay.
Yeah. Not a great segue, but on the topic of stunt coordinator, Jules, the Humming Grows. It was a 2024 Jury Award winner at the Rome International Film Festival for Best Latinx Short. Congrats on that. Can you talk about the project?
Yeah, the Humming Grows was the first project that really opened up my eyes to the value that there is in being a good stunt actor. They asked me to come in and how did I feel about the stunts on the show? And when I read the script and I was like, this is great. Well, what is your actress's skill set? And they were like, no, you would be the lead. We believe that you can fill that void. You are such a good storyteller with your physical body that you can do both. And it really was such a game changer, a life changer, a career changer for me because it started to shift my mindset and allow myself to see it in that light of, oh, I am capable of doing both. I am capable of being a stunt actress. And they were really supportive in the whole part of it. They have celebrated every one of my wins. They have been in contact with everything that they plan to do. They continuously show me support and love. And it just goes to show you that stunt actors are appreciated. And I didn't know that. And it holds a special place in my heart also because he was my stunt coordinator on it. And he just created such realistic, like he really wanted to create, hey, this is entertaining. But if you look at it, she's not landing every single shot. She's taking some too. This is what a realistic fight would look like. And yeah, it was a great teamwork. And soon after we booked Cobra Kai, which was it was just neat to get to work with each other again.
That's awesome. Like whenever that's available, I would love to, to watch it and share it. Obviously, I mean, you guys seem very proud, and you should be. You guys won an award for it, and well, you led, so and that was your first,
That was
be-
my first number one on the call sheet
yeah.
moment.
So you guys talked about, excuse me, you guys talked about being fans of film. Do you guys have any sort of like connection or history to like the Karate Kid? Justin, you have background in Goju Ryu. Yeah, so that's
Yeah,
Okinawan.
it's really good. Yeah. Yeah, obviously if anyone knows like Miyagi and the history of his Goju karate, and yeah, I have a second degree black belt in Goju, and I learned Goju to be a softer practitioner because Shotokan is a very hard style. It's purely Japanese, very hard style, and if you know the history, there's a difference between Japanese and Okinawan style. Where Goju was a little bit softer and it had like a more southern kung fu influence, was a soft style kung fu influence, and I learned that to be a smoother practitioner, and it definitely helped. But it was cool to kind of make that connection to like, oh my God, the Karate Kid. And the funny thing is too, like, of course, I watched the Karate Kid when I was younger. Was a big fan of it. But growing up, like everyone always used to call me like a young Daniel LaRusso, or at school they always call me the Karate Kid. And I was like, oh yeah, that's me. And then being from Boston, you don't really tell now, but the Bostonian will come out, especially when I'm in Boston. But you just having that little Italian like slang to myself, and people like, oh man, you're like the real like Daniel LaRusso. And then it was hilarious. Like I always wanted to play like a younger version of him. So fast forward, like being on the show with him was like a really good. I called it my ultimate yin and yang,
Mm.
bringing my martial arts and performance world together to create the character that I had, but also doing it in front of something that's like from my past and my current. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, that is really cool. You guys both also participated in Blue Beetle, which obviously starred Sholo. And what was that experience like? But also like, Sholo being the lead of Cobra Kai, where they changed. Well, they didn't change because it's an original character, but like the beats are similar, right? Daniel versus Miguel, but to have like, a Latino gonna be the lead kid of that. What did that mean to you guys?
Well, when we got on uh Cobra Kai for season 6 and we were at the aquarium, we like were like, do you're Cholo, you're our good luck charm because our like first big DC movie set working together, like having our trailers side by side was on Blue Beetle. And then now fast forward, like here we are, you again. We had played together on other stuff at that point, but like in passing or in days, but like this was again together. And so we were like, Sholo, let's keep this going. Like we've got a good little dynamic going here.
Well, I'll be honest, he did not. He didn't remember us.
From
being like
from Blue
stunt,
Beetle.
like being like stunt players, like there's a lot of them that come through, so it's kind of hard to remember his faces and stuff
Mhm.
unless you're there like every day, all the time with the actors. But of course, spending time with him, being on Cobra Kai, Cholo is a very sweet guy.
Very
He's a
sweet.
sweet,
Very down to
sweet
earth.
man and down to earth and really cool guy. But also his martial arts skills, man, he's up there for sure.
He is a
He's pretty good.
legitimate like martial artist. At this point, also stuntman. Like his stunt fighting is, I mean, up to par with like the stunt film fighting that we like trained stuntmen do. And he crushed it. I mean, he had a phenomenal stunt double that would like really guide him, but they had such a good chemistry as well, him and Craig Hennison, that the oh
Woo!
woohoo! Go
It's the
Craig
Zoom thing. I think if
Hennison.
you do like a thumbs up, you get all these different things, and yeah.
Crazy. So their chemistry together really enhanced his performance to be able to step up there and like give it his all. And he's
Mhm.
just he's a phenomenal actor. He's a phenomenal physical performer. He is a sweet, kind, genuine person, and we love him.
So I had we love him here too. Yeah, just kind of speak on how you guys said, he's really, sweet and kind. Um, I got to visit on the set of the aquarium, and John Hurwitz placed me behind Sholo and Gianni, and they're rehearsing, going over the lines, and Sholo turns around and sees me, and he's like, "Hey, Sholo." I'm like, "Oh, Peter interviewed you a few years ago, but probably don't remember." But it's that whole thing. But he was just nice. I'm literally a face he doesn't recognize. He didn't have to say hello, but he shook my hand and just nice to meet you kind of thing. So yeah, really really nice guy. I know I'm kind of jumping all over the place a little bit. I know you guys are both kind of comic book fans as well. You guys have a dog named Nightwing.
Yeah,
But
go
from
Magnus.
from Black Adam, Black Panther, Miss Marvel, you guys have been in a few different things. Is there a superhero? I mean, you guys got Superman coming up too. Is there a superhero movie that is a kind of on a dream list? Like I would love to be in this Marvel or DC movie.
Oh man, where do I begin?
Okay, so here we go.
No, I mean, I just got one.
He just has
I
one. So
just have
I'll
one.
start with
Yeah.
mine. It would be a dream come true to bring in a new Electra for me. As a young woman and martial artist, Electra has had a grip, a just chokehold on my heart since Jennifer Gardner's Electra came out. And I she is amazing. I loved her in the last Deadpool Wolverine movie. And I could only hope that in the coming years, throughout my career, at some point or another, she could give me the blessing to play Elektra. If that ever does happen, that is on my bucket list. So Elektra is up there, but also Halle Berry's Catwoman was such an inspiration.
Mm.
That would be up there as well for me.
So I I'm Batman. Uh, I love Batman. She knows
Yeah.
that. Batman everything. Actually, my wedding ring has a Batman symbol on it. Like it's really cool.
Our wedding with
Batman
Batman.
theme.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
as my dog is Nightwing
Yeah,
because he's
yeah.
psychic.
Did you guys have any Prince songs playing from the original movie?
No,
Oh
no,
no, we
didn't.
didn't.
No.
We had a violinist
We had
though,
violinist,
so
so
we let him do his thing.
yeah. But no, I always wanted to play specifically Batman Beyond, and I think that would
Mm.
be a super cool Batman Beyond. But being the first ever like Latin Batman would be super cool. It would be an
Yeah.
honor.
But
Even if it was like Lego Batman, I don't care. Put me in. Like I would so
I
Lego
love Lego
Batman.
Batman.
I love Lego
I love
Batman.
Lego Batman.
Oh, hello.
Daddy's still talking here.
What a cutie. Ah.
Oh.
My little ballerina.
I love it.
Adorable. But yes,
So yes.
Batman Beyond specifically, literally kind of like I think it's like an inch off, but like I'm 5'9", 5'10", 170, same weight. I guess the eyes would be different, but just to bring Batman Beyond, the kind of that new school Batman touch would be so awesome.
But
What
in
about
general,
voicing?
if we could either, like, if we could just even stunt play, on a like Batman movie, I'm saying yes to that job.
For sure. For
So
sure.
which iteration so far? Like you got the Nolan films, right? And then now you have the one with Robert Pattinson, Michael Keaton. Which version of Batman? If
Oh,
you could if you could place yourself in one of these movies, which one?
Christopher Nolan, all the
Chris.
Dark Knights. Yep.
Yeah,
Done. Thank you so much.
if I was to
Final answer.
if I was to
Christopher
place
Nolan.
myself, no, I honestly I would. I mean, I've been a huge Michael Keaton fan uh,
Yep.
for a while, and to be honest, like if I was to place myself in a verse, it would probably be his because him being like the older Batman and me being the Terry, like that would be dream come true
Yeah.
for sure. But you know, you can't go wrong with either one because every one of them are different and beautiful in their own right.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, it's just that the Christian Bale, Christopher Nolan Batmans are better, but continue.
I mean, I mean, agree to disagree, but you know, my it's
No,
just
but
what I
100%
love is that Michael Keaton was like
still Michael Caine. Yes, I love.
you know, it's
Yeah,
just
are you guys gonna fight? Are you guys gonna fight?
There's a little
we always
tension.
there's
It's fine.
always a little battle with that, but we all know Michael Keaton is the GOAT, the original GOAT. But it's okay.
Let him have Beetlejuice and give Christian Bale Batman.
Christian Bale's got a lot of things actually. He's got a lot of things
Okay,
going for him. But he wasn't, you know, the OG Batman
you're
like
right.
Michael
He's not the
Keaton. Like
OG.
that was Tim Burton's first love.
Yeah, you're right. Heard. Understood.
Shout out to Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to Beetlejuice. Shout out to Jenna
Uh,
Ortega for being a kind, genuine, hardworking soul and loved working with her on Beetlejuice.
Now, we put that into the universe. Send it to the internet. So hopefully,
Absolutely.
Thanks.
you know,
Absolutely.
Internet, take care of
And
that.
also
yeah.
too, we didn't mention this, but this would actually be really cool, and I know you would agree with this, but playing, I know there's a female and a male White Tiger, and White Tiger is a Marvel character, but they're also Puerto Rican, and
And
Mm.
us being
martial artists
and martial artists, which is actually the style of martial arts, you know, that
that
we're
we
really
come
good
from.
at, like especially with the kicking abilities.
Hmm.
But you know, playing something that represents home, you know, Puerto Rico, Boricuas,
Yeah.
that would be amazing.
Mhm.
I mean, you guys have all the tools and the experience in filmmaking. I don't see why you guys can't make a little short on nondescript uh, superheroes that resemble certain people, so that way, not get in trouble for IP and whatnot. So,
Yeah,
Oh,
no, I
you
hear
know,
you.
uh, Cobra Kai. Justin, you've actually been on there before season six, because I believe it was a wrap party. I saw you guys, a picture of you guys with Ralph.
That is correct.
yeah.
So you are good, man.
That is the real Cobra Kai
this guy's a
companion.
detective. He's a
Hey,
detective.
hey.
So the funny thing is, when I got into the stunt industry, I got into because I saw the season one of Cobra Kai, and I'm watching, and everyone's looking at me and like, dude, you should be on this. Like, you should be on this. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna get on this. Everyone's been telling me to do the stunt world thing. You know, I know I was into my martial arts and really into that world of traveling and teaching seminars, but I was like, let me give it a shot. So it happened to be like later on, there was a audition for martial artists for Cobra Kai, for stunt performers, and I was like, yeah, oh, I guess this is the moment. This is the universe talking to me, right? And so I go and audition, and at the time it was for the coordinator. His name was Hiro Koda. He was the coordinator for season one, two, and three. And I we did well. We both did the audition. We did well in the audition, but it was like, all right, cool, you audition, go home. We were like, okay,
Yeah, we made it to the final round,
yeah.
and then it was just like,
We are like, oh,
and we were like,
okay, don't hear anything else. We'll see. I didn't hear anything for a while, and I was like, oh, I guess nothing's happening. And then I got hit up to do Ozark, which was my first ever
stunt job.
stunt job was for Ozark,
Wow.
which was super cool and a super cool moment. And it was the season finale for season three of Ozark, and I was like, what? And then right after that, they loved how I performed, how I did my work, and they're like, hey, are you available for end of season three for Cobra Kai? And I was like, what? Yeah, and so that's where you see me as a
Cobra Kai.
uh,
Wow.
Cobra
I'm gonna have
Kai
to go,
student.
yeah, go back to that.
Oh, how the turntables.
Right?
So, so you when you were on there, Mark Cananizano, he wasn't there. Was he still there?
There. Oh yeah, for sure. Mark
Okay.
Kennedy. Oh yeah, that's the man right there. I love
I've
it.
Well,
interviewed him too, yeah.
Actually, we
teammates
were teammates being
before.
on Team Paul Mitchell.
Oh,
Wow.
okay.
Paul Mitchell karate team. Um,
And
and I was actually the head instructor of his father's school at one point in Orlando,
mhm.
um,
So
called
we all
Florida
go way
Sports
back.
Martial Arts. So we all go way back, and he was excited that I was getting into the stunt world, and he was excited I was there in Ozark because he was there working on Ozark, and then he
Mm.
was excited I was there with him on Cobra Kai, um, and he's a phenomenal performer himself. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing to see. Jules, I was telling you about the connections. I was just like, well, I know some of these people. I'm gonna have to text Mark, after this, be like, you're not gonna, guess who I just interviewed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how I said,
So
hey, awesome, I love
so
it.
it sounds like you guys were fans of the show. Before you guys booked the
Mhm.
roles in part two, what were some like storylines that you guys were really interested in kind of seeing wrap up before the show's end?
I was really excited to see how they moved Miguel along. I think he's been through so much on the show that it being the final season, I was really excited to see how they really wrapped that up with a bow because, I mean, that is a pretty intense character arc, and so is Tori's and everything that did happen. I mean, everything that had happened, and then what did happen in season six, I was like, man, they just and so it was those two I was most intrigued by their storylines.
Well, I love me a bad boy. Terry Silva was
Uh,
from Karate Kid 3 was always one of my favorite characters. I just thought his character was so badass and so powerful too. He's a phenomenal actor, like just him himself, phenomenal actor, but also a great martial artist. Like that man can kick for as tall as he is. He knows how to move. But being seeing him in Karate Kid 3, like when I was a kid, I was like, wow, like that guy's pretty good, and like his character is like, whoa. So when they brought him back, I was like, "What?" I was fanboying. I was like, "What? Terry Silver's back!" And to see like all the twists, the plot twists happen with Terry Silver, like he's like, "Oh, he's actually a genuine good guy," and then all of a sudden it's like, "Oh no, no, that's Terry
There he is.
Silver. There he is." And then they brought him back for this, and I was like, "Yes, yes." And then getting to meet him, that was super cool. And then when he saw us perform, he was like, "Hey, you guys are phenomenal performers." And I was like, you kidding me? That means a lot coming from like the ultimate performer. So yeah, that was cool. That his path is really cool to me.
oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. I was pretty honored to have spoken with him prior to season four, and at that time he said no to camera because the ponytail, right? We want to keep that a secret.
Yeah.
And season four is not out yet, so we can talk spoilers. So we just kind of talked about Karate Kid 3, and kind of his experience. Um, with sounds like you're a fan of part three. What would you think of Mike Barnes having, is it Shotokan? Right? Is that also something you have a background in?
Yes, yes. Shotokan's my original style. That's
Okay,
that's my father was my instructor, and so it's always been my baby.
yeah, yeah. Did you live there for Mike Barnes?
No, no,
No,
no.
it was all Terry
We
Silver.
whacked out
We-
at the end of the Saikai Taikai and we went straight to Superman for a few
yeah.
weeks.
Mhm.
So we were
Wow.
both something else right after.
Mm. So tell me about how you guys landed the roles of Diego and Maria, and also isn't your guys one of your senseis? Isn't he like Don Lee's sensei or
Oh,
teacher?
Oh yeah, for
yeah.
like the actual like the
The
team.
team's
Yes.
Yeah.
sensei
It
is
is.
Don
Yeah.
Lee's like real life martial arts
And
sensei.
Don Lee's, great martial arts
Sensei
too.
Oscar. Shout out to Sensei
Sensei
Oscar.
Oscar is legit.
He's
Like he
legit.
is so good.
And he's so funny. Like every time,
Hilarious.
like in between takes, like or even while we were fighting, he would like be behind camera and he would be like giving us faces, or he'd be like, what was that? Or he would make fun of us and he's like, and what? And what? Like it, so he was just such, it was so good to have Oscar on there and for him to be our sensei
That was
when he was
cool.
like, we're gonna we're we gotta make him look at us,
Yeah.
like, and he would like coach us and like give us acting beats, and he was like, you don't look scary enough. Like when we went into that next take, you didn't look like you meant it. We're at the world championships. So he was like acting coach, he was karate coach. We were like bowing to him, like, yes, sir, like so sorry. I will chamber better next time.
Some
So yeah.
some of the choices that we made, like how we stand, like everyone's like standing normal, and how we standing like with this fierce look and like different from everyone else was because like
Just
keeping him in mind and what he said to us, and you're like, you know what? Yeah, you're right. We gotta put fear in them, and we gotta show that we're different, and just all that like kind of coaching to like making us seem like those fierce competitors. Like that came from him, which was so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to meet him on the set, and so I knew that he was going to be one of the senseis, and I completely forgot which team until I started, going back and watching your guys' sequences and kind of seeing him. I'm like, oh yeah. So I kind of wanted to ask about that. So you guys land these roles like since you guys have like competed all around the world, was there anybody that you guys have competed against, like in the past that showed up in season 6?
Yeah. So actually, here's a cool little full circle moment. Um, Justin's student, since she was a wee one, was also on Cobra Kai. Her name is Haley Glass. And in my retirement year, she had just moved into the adult division as I was retiring. And so we got to compete against each other for like maybe one or two times. And so it was so nice to share the real life karate stage with her. It was so nice to be on set with her. She is not only a phenomenal martial artist, but she's a phenomenal coach and human, and she loves sharing knowledge. And so it was just,
Well, her and her
and her
fiance
fiance,
now, Alex Mencias,
Mencias,
he was also on. They were both on Western Warriors,
the West End
Okay,
Warrior,
both on
okay.
Western. And they for Alex, this was his first ever
stunt
stunt
job.
job. So this was a huge deal, and he always manifested that he would get on Cobra Kai. And he's a performer too. I kind of wish that he had a little bit more like actual performance,
Yeah.
to him, because you'll like knowing him, like, oh man, you're meant for the camera. But just those two phenomenal martial artists. They're both part of Team Paul Mitchell right now, which if anyone doesn't know, Team Paul Mitchell is one of the best karate teams in the world.
It is
Is the best.
world-renowned
Yeah.
karate
And
team to
then
be on.
they've been the best team for about 30, 33, 34 years.
It is a legacy.
It's a huge legacy to be a part of that team. It was an honor that I was a part of that team, and then seeing the next generation, like my student Haley, and then our fiance Alex, which I taught him, did some lessons with him when he was younger too. Now they're just taking over the world, and they are actually the best in the world at what they do, which is amazing. And to see them on Cobra Kai was so cool.
Yeah,
So,
all of us. We
there's some others that are in the sport karate world that are in there. Some from the past that I actually looked up to. But none that I actually competed against, especially since my forte was fighting. There wasn't anyone that I fought against in there in real life.
Yeah, there weren't as many fighters as there were forms and weapons competitors. And I think all of us came from like our age brackets just like phased in and out of each other. And so the only person in there that I had actually competed against on stage was Haley. Everybody else we kind of just competed with.
Yeah, could just knew each other from the community.
Right,
Mhm.
right.
Yeah, that's
Stood
awesome.
on each other's ringside
Yeah,
and like
yeah.
cheered for each other. Yeah.
Yeah. So with your guys' character, Diego Aguilar and Maria Alvarez, were you guys given like a backstory, or did you guys have to come up with your own for the characters?
So the funny thing is, like you mentioned, like how did like if we auditioned for it or whatnot. I did not have to audition for my role. Um, my role was actually well, my role was actually created for me. My The fight coordinator Don Lee, when he saw me practicing at the stunt gym, Action Craft that we were talking about earlier, he pulled me aside. He's like, "Hey, Justin and Ivan, which was another stunt performer that was also on Cobra Kai, who was Kenny's double.
Mm.
And he was like, I want you guys to stick around afterwards. And we were building some fights with him, and some of this was the basis of the fights that you see in the Sekai. So this was before they even started filming.
One whole year before
One whole
season
year.
6, like
Yeah.
before
We
pre-production.
already started creating. And it was really cool to be a part of that and for him to trust me with that. But I remember afterwards he goes, I like the way you looked and stuff. He's like, can you act? And I'm like, I'm doing stuff for him, and like I did some accents, and he goes, dude, I'm seeing this look. I see like the Spanish hawk. And I was like, oh, actually, that would be so dope. And he's like, yeah, I definitely want to pitch that to them and like
To the
have you do
writers,
that.
yeah.
And
He did.
he did.
So
And they called me up and it was like, hey,
with
like we want you to be the Spanish hawk. And I didn't have to.
but it wasn't that by itself. Like before that, I want to say maybe like 6 months before. Now we're getting closer, but we're still pretty far away from even pre-production. He's like already setting things up. This is Don Lee. And he goes, he had said that to Justin, and then he said something to me at AKA World Warrior Cup, which is a big sport tournament in Chicago, where he took Una to go see sport karate. And I had just gotten off the stage. It was my retirement tournament. And he said, hey, like as a martial artist, I respect you, and I love that you have so much respect for the traditional side of the martial arts. Like you're not, tricking and flipping. You're really just genuine about the traditional side. I can see like this character, blah, blah. So he basically said that to us on separate accounts. And then 6 months later, he asked us to kind of put together a martial arts documentary of our personal journeys in the martial arts, and that he was going to kind of like keep in his back pocket in case he ever needed to whip it out to the writers to pitch us. And so we did that. We sent those in and didn't hear anything for a while. And then all of a sudden, Justin got the call. He was like, hey, like, congrats. Like, you're going to be Spanish Hawk. You're going to be Diego. You're going to have lines, and you're going to have crazy fights. And it's everything that we visualized and whatnot. And then
He said, get ripped. Make sure you're ripped.
Get ripped.
And I got ripped, and I'm still like in great shape to have a gi on. I never took my gi off. And I was like, what? I was waiting for that moment to just whip it out. But no, it was just so cool because it literally was like made for me, and they were like, yeah, man, it's yours. It's like it's your role.
Same process over on this side, by the way. Same process, same timeline, same household, right? Same conversations. I get a breakdown.
But
I get a breakdown for Maria, which the Saikai Taikai was originally supposed to be in Brazil. So Maria and Diego actually had a Rio de Janeiro accent.
Oh, okay.
And so I get a breakdown, but I also hear that like maybe a few other people are reading for this role. And I was like, I thought it was, I am Maria. What? So I'm actually at Curdy's house. Curtis, the stills photographer for Cobra Kai. I'm at his house in the middle of a shoot, and my phone goes off, and they ask me like, hey, can you read for Maria, but like in the next few hours? And I was like, on it. So Curdy is there. We're searching up what does a Rio de Janeiro accent sound like, and he's helping me with my Portuguese accent. And I come home and I self-tape and I send it in. I don't hear anything for like 3 weeks. Anxiety to the max. I'm just sitting there like rocking back and forth in my bed, like, yeah. At one point, I just let it go. I was like, you know what, universe, if it's meant for me, it's gonna be for me, because from what I know, these characters were written for us, so something's got to come from it.
May I remind you, Diego had no other characters in line, no other people in line for it. It was just.
And then I got a phone call that was like, hey, have you gotten a phone call? And I was like, no. And they were like, oh, man, we're so sorry. You got it. And I was like, oh my gosh, well, that's great to know. Thank you. I can breathe now. And that's how I found out that I was going to be playing Maria.
I can only imagine 3 weeks of just while Justin's probably like packing, getting ready to go, looking over his side, see if
But she got her lines in there, so I didn't really get my lines in there, which was awesome. So
My lines made the
her
final cut.
her her lines made the final cut, mine didn't, but I do love the ability to create that character, and it seems to have
Yes.
been getting a lot of love. Everyone's been like Spanish Hawk Diego, like we want to see more Furia de Panteras, like we want to see their backstory, which is so cool. We're
So
so
sweet.
blessed, and it's so sweet. But we would love to, we would love to do that. That would be a dream come true for us for sure, to really bring those characters more into the forefront, especially
I would love to see more for sure. So it appeared Maria either likes American boys or dorks. Like I don't know which is which. Can you
actually,
So,
yeah.
so actually, what Don Lee had mentioned at the beginning when he was like, "Oh, getting in the groove," is like he was like, "This is what I see for you guys." He was like, "Jules, you're so pretty and you know it that you go and you flirt with all the guys from the other teams to knock them off their game, and then you send in Diego to go rack up points on them." So that's kind of where that came from, where Maria is almost like stealing their gaze and their focus from like all these different guys from different teams. So that way Diego comes in like a force and racks up points to get us to the top. Now, it did happen that there was supposed to be a little bit more of a back and forth with Hawk and Dimitri and Maria at the tag team fight, like standing across from the ring, so that it threw each other off. But we didn't see that. We just saw them at the dance. So yeah, Maria just there for a good
And
time.
actually, like stemming from that, there was supposed to be this confrontation between me and Hawk.
Mm-hmm.
And there's
A
moments where I
rivalry.
where I give him these looks like I don't like him just because he thinks his Hawk is better than mine, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And because of all the drama Maria is creating more tension between me and Hawk, which is why like at the end of the headbutt, we kind of look at each other like, maybe you are okay. And that's because you don't really see all the other stuff that we did in between, which was like all the looks we gave each other, the crap talking we were giving each other, into that moment where we finally help each other out and we're like, okay, maybe you're an okay person.
Maybe you're not the best.
Yeah, I know with 30 some odd minutes per episode, with the exception of the finale, so many characters, we can't see it all, unfortunately. Um, uh,
There's so much cut, but that's because there was so much needed to be told and so
mhm.
many
And
moving
so
parts.
many, so much action.
And like shout out to, well, the directors, of course, producers, but the editors. Oh my God.
Yeah.
The fact that they in that amount of time shot, I mean, the DP, first of all, for shooting all that, and camera operator for shooting all that and shooting it beautifully. And then the editors for getting it in on time and really doing a good job on the edit and still, doing good job
Being respectful of all the
as
moves
yeah,
and
and then
stuff. Yeah.
showing the story and
Oh,
building up the
yes.
story. Nothing that I felt like it was. I obviously there's stuff we know that was missing because we were a part of it. But as far as like from the outside looking in, it was like, yeah, and I understand the story. I feel all the drama and tension happening.
And that's
It
the
was
most
really
important
cool.
part.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they did amazing.
can you guys talk about your first well, kind of Jules, if you could talk about Maria versus Devin on the little kind of narrow platform, and then Justin, Quan, and Diego. That's a brutal hit to the head there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Maria versus Devin was a fun one because a part that got cut out was kind of when they're having their huddle talking about it. Maria is in the back, like eyeing her, and I had a whole warm-up session with Sensei Oscar Rivas, which is Don Lee's coach. So he was actually making me like throw kicks and like warm up to like intimidate them. And by the time that I got up on that platform, I was winded. I was like, oh my God, I think we like for real warmed up. That was a lot of takes. And so that was really fun because Devin is also such a stallion and such a student of the martial arts. Like she loves the martial arts. So she comes in really excited and having that passion on both sides. It was an awesome experience. She's so great. And um explaining some of that is to show the caliber that Maria is at, that Devin is a great fighter, and that we are in this precarious situation being on a beam, but Maria is a high caliber fighter. And when she is mentally there and emotionally right, she can run circles around someone. And it was when she confronted Zara and Zara got in her head emotionally. That is when Maria's skill level drops down and gets a little too emotional in her fight, and that's why she loses.
Yeah. Yeah, z zero, right? Like didn't even was it 11-0 or something? The Zara.
And coming up with that choreography was a lot of fun because obviously Reina and I having similar skill sets, similar looks and body types, it was really neat to get to create something that highlighted both of our strengths and really be girls and just be there for each other. Like, hey, how can I make you look like a rock star? This is the story. We're both high caliber, but you just have that one up on her, so you run circles around Maria. How can we tell that while still letting both women shine? And it was really fun.
Yeah.
It, I don't remember which fight it was. There's this kick that you did, but also with Marty Cove. There's a video of you demonstrating this very similar kick, or the same kick rather. And Marty's just talking about how great of a kick it is. I'm paraphrasing, but doesn't he say like it's the best kick like he's seen there?
Yes, it was such an honor. So I was warming up. I usually do warm up with a hook round side, because it kind of just goes through the whole range of motion of all the kicks coming from different chambers and directions, and then that lock at the end of the side kick. And he came up to me from across the room and he kind of pointed at Justin and was like, record this. And so we're like pulling out our phone. I don't really know what's going on. And then he goes, kick for me. And so I just start going through my same warm-up routine and he goes, that is the cleanest kick in the room. I could never. And he just gets really into it. And I am beside myself because that is the Sensei Crease telling me that I've got the best kick. And the even better part was that my mother and father were upstairs watching this happen. So my parents were on set with us that day and they were like, what was he saying? What was he talking about? And it was just so cool to tell them, like, hey, just want you guys to let you know, as instructors and as parents, pinnacle, pinnacle.
You did good.
You did good, kid. You got the approval from Marty Cove from Sensei Crease.
That was cool.
And
So
yeah,
cool.
so I did a hook round side there. We do see that in the Zara fight. And then we do see I did a really hard kick combo against Sam. I wish we saw it a little better, but it was like side round hook, twist inverted front kick into a side kick, all of that without putting my foot down and moving forward and attacking her. That was so difficult, but it was one of my favorite kick combos. And shout out to Don Lee. He studied my martial arts and said, I came up with this kick combo for you.
We need to see that. Is there footage of it that you
I
haven't put up yet?
I will,
Yeah,
yeah,
some
I think I have
BTS.
a rehearsal
Some
footage
BTS.
of it. Yeah, I'll
Yeah,
show
because
it.
it is
I'll
hard
post
to
it.
see like on the show, like it's very tight, but like on the BTS you see like the dexterity. It's like wow,
Hip, yeah,
it's
movement,
serious.
yeah. Thank
I'd love
you.
to see that. Justin, the Quan versus Diego, that hit and the way you fall, it was brutal. Not gonna lie.
You know, the funny thing about that, like when Brandon was like, "Hey, I heard we have a fight," we were like ecstatic because we were like, we're about to create some dope stuff. Like we're about to do some cool things, and we created this fight that was like a good length, but also showcased some real high talent that we know that, hey, to be honest, like nobody else is gonna be able to do this but us. Um, and then getting the scripts.
The script
The
changes
script,
every 30 minutes.
but the script they're like, hey, this is it. This is all we need. We need you getting hit and then this little back and forth and then you get knocked out. And even even Brandon was like, that's it. Like I really wanted to do this fight with him. And me, I was like, I get knocked out. I was like, that's it. Like that's all like, all right, man. All right. But that is our job. Our job is to make sure that we're following the script, we're telling the story. And I was like, you know what? If we're gonna tell the story, we gotta make it. We gotta make
Gnarly.
it, excel. And I was like, when you hit me with this, let's see, let's come up with a good kick. What kick haven't you done to someone yet? And he was like, man, I haven't done double 720 where I hit the first the hand with the first kick and then hit him with the second kick. And I was like, let's do it. Let's do that. And I was like, and he was like, oh, well, what kind of would you do this cool landing? Would you do this? I was like, no,
Like
I'm gonna do
wreck.
something so simple. And he was like, would it be this cool wreck? And a wreck is like a fall, right? And I was like, no, I'm gonna do something so simple but so hard that everyone in the crowd is gonna go, ooh, and people are gonna ask, are you okay? And there he was like, okay, cool. I'll just let you do it. I'm like, all right. So we do this little bit fight, and he did his kick combo, and it was really cool how I was reacting to every kick. And then that last one, boom, I went with what's called a tombstone, where I just lock up and just slam myself into the floor. And everyone thought like I broke my nose or hit my face or I busted my shoulder. And they're like, are you okay? And you can kind of hear the crowd go, ooh, like in the BTS. But or there's moments where sometimes when I do it where everyone was just quiet. They're like the whole place was quiet. Normally they're clapping, they're like, no, is he okay? And I'll pop back up and I'm like, all right, cool, what's next? What are we doing? We're doing it again? And they're like, yeah, if you can, are you okay to do it again? I'm like, yeah, let's do it. So I went with the tombstone because I knew it would create that
It's
reaction,
impactful.
but it's impactful. And also to the audience, they would see it as like, wow, that looked like
Quan
it hurt.
is,
And
yeah.
Quan at that moment is pissed, he's upset, and he's nothing to joke around with right now. And so that was my job. My job was to give that character arc to Quan. And
Yeah.
And like bring it was our job to look really high caliber, but make them highlight how amazing
amazing,
and
yeah.
strong they are
Mhm.
in the show, and it would scare everybody.
Now that being said, to Brandon, I want my rematch.
Hey, Raina, we can play again too, girl.
No, I want my rematch, okay? Diego Quan. Oh, he got stabbed. So we'll see. We'll see how let's see how he feels.
Um, there was a BTS footage of you guys recently kind of doing like the handshake, kind of like before. Like,
Yeah,
can you guys talk about that? But also Diego's fist in the air.
we were
Like, where do
hoping
those come from?
they show that in the show
They
because
got really good footage of it.
throughout the every time Furia de Panteras came up, we always had this handshake or this way that we entered. And you kind of see it in the Quan fight, you hear it, like you hear that stomp.
And we all stomped at the
And we
same
all
time.
stomped at the same time to show that we're like one solid unit in a team and to kind of put fear into to someone's head. And that's the same thing with the handshake. It was to show that we're a team and that we're on a different level. And we have this unity.
While, because we are, I don't know if you guys pick this up, but we are almost like the mirror of Miyagi-Do. And so while Miyagi-Do is across the mat bickering and fighting, we are working together as a solid team. And so even us like coming together at the end of the brawl goes to show like, oh man, like our counterparts are working together, you know? And so that was that super unison of Furia de Pantera with the
But
handshake.
we knew that well we have like our own handshake like for us and
Like our personal
our
handshake.
personal one, and we kind of use that in the Furia de Pantera's handshake, but we also wanted to blend like some sport karate feeling with some like let's get 'em feeling.
Yeah.
And it came out really well. Obviously it wasn't shown, but in the BTS everyone was loving it. They're like, I want to learn the
Or
Furia
some
de
people did
Pantera
learn
handshake.
it.
And some people did learn it, and we actually did a live and we actually showed just quickly how to do it, but we will do a tutorial on how to do the Furia de Pantera handshake
At one point, yeah.
at one point. But also
How about the hand raised?
the
So
hand raised
the
thing.
hand
Yeah,
raised thing was an accident, but not an accident. So as
well,
I
for her it
watched,
was an accident. For me, it was a choice.
so as I was coming up, watching Justin compete as a fighter, he used to do that for real when he would fight. And so when I won my Devin fight, my character moment to show that I was so ahead of the game was just to naturally just like I won and I went and I put my hand up because that's what I'd seen my favorite fighter do his whole life. And so then when he went up to fight Dimitri in the tag team fight, He didn't say he was going to do that. He just did it. And I was like, oh, I did that in my last fight when we shot it last week. And he was like, no way. And I was like, yes, 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 do it, do it, do it.
Yeah, and it was like for me a choice because like I knew like when I'm gonna step into the ring, I was gonna raise my hand just because it was like kind of a ode to like how I used to compete, but also knowing the kind of characters we were, we always wanted to get in their heads. So a little backstory, every time I fought, I always before like when I bow to the judge and I look across the ring to my opponent, before I bow, I raise my hand like this to show them that I'm already victorious. You already
Mm.
lost. And it was to get in their heads. And some of them will get upset. And when they get upset, they start losing their technique because they start getting wild, which made it easier for me. So I knew I was getting in their head.
Which is kind of what happened to Maria versus Zara. She gets scored on and she gets frustrated, so
Right.
she loses even worse.
So I wanted to do that to kind of give them that like one, I'm not afraid of you. Two, you're going against me and you're gonna have a hard time. You're gonna lose. And then you can even see it like how Dimitri, when he bows and he looks up, like he already had that fear in his eyes, and I'm kind of looking into his eyes like, yeah, I got you. It actually worked out because like that wasn't planned. And the fact that he did that reaction, I was like, yes, this is
That's
exactly what we
exactly what
wanted.
Mhm.
This is great. So yeah.
And shout out to the writers for writing this in a way that gave us creative freedom to really
Mhm.
bring these characters to life. Like when we stepped up as a team and we shot our hands out in chamber, they were like, who did that? Because it was so loud. Our uniforms were so loud and we were so like we were so synced. They like looked over and they were like, yeah, like they didn't write that. We did that. And so they kept allowing us those moments and really it was such a treat.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's amazing that they allow that freedom because then it just kind of gives each dojo like that unique characteristic. It makes you guys stand out even more. So, as we get ready to wrap up here, could you guys give us some insight on the brawl, the logistics of it, and just filming the sequence?
We shot that brawl in like a day and a half. It was insanity. And we did obviously have choreographed moments. There was some stuff that didn't make it into the final edit. And then there was a whole lot of improv stunt fighting in the back. So you can't hear us, but as like stunt performers, we have cues for each other. So in the background, you see a lot of like, all right, and take this. And then like, all right, now you hit me. And then you just kind of make them nice and wide and big so you can see it coming and then you know how to take that reaction. And we just all everybody's go-to with Maria was pick her up and slam her. Every other take, I swear you can see my little feetsies in the background in the air twirling around. But it was just so much fun. It's
Yeah.
organized
This
chaos.
is where like having a great stunt coordinator and fight coordinator comes in hand. Ken Bearfield and Don Lee, phenomenal stunt coordinator, phenomenal fight coordinator. They did a really good job in leadership and putting the pieces together, and also too sometimes allowing us to create some of the pieces that were in there. Like, hey, listen, you have this. I want you guys to create this amount of beats, do this. Like, really giving us that freedom to do so, but also making sure that they manage it
And told the
and
story.
told the story that was needed for the directors. So their leadership, their guidance, and the way they put the pieces together was like a chessboard for them. And I mean, checkmate, they did a great job putting it together. So a shout out to
Yeah,
them because it's not an easy job.
That brawl was
yeah.
insane.
I
I, in my very biased, humble opinion, that brawl season 6, all the Saikai Taikai is the best action a TV series has ever seen.
Emmy, baby. Emmy.
I
I hope
agree.
so. I hope so.
I hope
Yeah,
so too.
Also did
yeah.
well.
It's quite amazing. And I heard, I saw somewhere that I believe that's also the longest fight sequence in the entire show thus far.
I'll believe
Obviously.
it.
Yeah,
I'll believe it.
yeah,
No doubts
I
over
believe it.
here.
You know, it's funny because like every year they always try to top their their
Last
battle,
brawl,
you know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Their brawl. Like for season 3, we did
The
the one
house
in
fight.
LaRusso house, and that was because they did one in the high school one before that season. And I remember Hito coming up was like, we're gonna beat that. And he was like, we're gonna even top that. And I was like, whoa, how do we top that? And it was like, wow, this house brawl. And the next season they're like, we're gonna beat that. And the next season we're gonna beat that. And then the second Taikai, they're like, listen, this nobody will touch this. This will be nothing like anybody have seen before. And even I was like, wow, that it was impressive. And to see it, like we lived it, we were doing it every day. We were
We're
there, we
making
were
the
creating, we were
choreography for different
helping.
characters,
But to see it on TV, we're
executed.
still like, wow, that was a lot.
Mhm.
That was a lot.
I don't know if you've seen a picture of the rehearsal room, like at the rehearsal dojo, the board. We had a white board like you see in a classroom.
I've
And
seen a
the
board, yeah.
handwriting with all the script notes and all the fight notes was written in like this tiny handwriting. And the whole board was filled to the brim. Like, I mean, like curved writing to the corners to fill up every edge. It looked like a psychopath had written on that
With
board.
who, what, where, why,
What exactly?
and
All the
how.
scene notes, every single thing that
Everything.
needed to happen in every single fight was on that board. And by the grace of God, we made it happen. And that was because of great
So
leadership.
you have the athletes, the stunt performers, the stunt actors, they did phenomenal.
The
The
actors
core
that came
team
in and did
did
it so
great.
fast.
And doubling them was awesome. The actors being able to go in and learn it was incredible. But it all comes down to the leadership. Our fight coordinator, Don Lee, our stunt coordinator, Ken Bearfield, you know.
Yeah. That's amazing. It's such a brutal fight. I mean, Gunther gets hit. Master Chung, Tony Chung gets knocked out. The referee, it's like you guys.
Everyone gets it.
Yeah, yeah.
No one,
If you're
cameraman got knocked over. Like,
oh right, yeah. Everyone, yeah. If you don't want to get knocked out, you better leave the room. Yeah. It's wild.
yeah.
Um, so I saw you guys at the premiere for Red One. Just a shout out to the OG Rock fit, with the turtleneck. Yeah, I commented no, there was no fanny pack.
Yeah,
Um,
That's right.
that's right.
It was close. I had to look. I didn't want to get too much into the rock, I decided, but it was close enough that everyone got it. But it was funny too because there was some people with the turtleneck and chains, and I was like, you guys
Yeah,
have the
we all
same
thought about
mentality.
it.
But yeah, Red One was awesome. It was a great movie. Phenomenal action too. Just enough action, just enough Christmas magic
Mhm.
to really be like amongst the top, Christmas movies out there. And then of course, Juliana being a stunt performer in there, and also the Penguin,
This Agent Penguin.
Agent Penguin.
And I just posted on my TikTok. I've been posting a ton of BS on my TikTok, but I posted the Agent Penguin behind the scenes because they were like, "What do you mean you were Agent Penguin?" And I was like, "Watch this." And it's just video clips of me sliding on my belly, and they would make me waddle around, and I had to like fight like a penguin, like I would like smack people with my little flappy hands, and it was just so much fun. But I didn't even think that was on my career bucket list, and it was just so much fun. So the penguin on there, but also the Aruba scenes. Like nobody talks about being a stunt performer in a bikini and how um unconventional that is, and not being able to have pads but having to do the same gnarly stunts. I was taking fall after fall, and it was just really fun to get to feel like I was in a resort, but there was just all this chaos going on, and it was Red One was a lot of fun to be a part of. Phenomenal direction, second unit director Greg Rementer, best of the best. And yeah, everybody that played in it really great, great team.
and since you guys are coaches, teachers, mentors, what can you tell like any listener that wants to do something that you guys do or be as ambitious as you guys and wear this a variety of hats?
Yeah, I think no dream is too big. You ask questions and you go for it. And sometimes you don't know what you don't know, but do your research. It's not just like getting to that end goal. It's all the work that happens before you get to that end goal. None of us, nobody is an overnight success. I've been working on my craft and my social media since 2017 consistently. Ask him. I mean, I put 6 to 8 hours into my social media every day. Like it is a job, and nobody has to check on me. Nobody tells me to clock in or clock out. And it's having that work ethic and willing to do what others won't to get what others don't.
I have a couple things. So one, my mentality is always remain like a white belt, right? And that's just always remaining a student of the game. So whatever you do, you're always a student of the game, which means you have one goal, and that is to become the best at what you do. And how do? You continue learning, you continue growing, and you continue striving. Be the best at whatever you decide to do. And then my second one too, to have that balance and that yin yang to it, is never lose your smile. We grow up, we kind of lose our imagination and our creativity just because we get older, and the truths of this world become more apparent to us, and we start to lose that imagination and creativity that we had when we were kids. And because of that, we lose our smile, and we lose what makes us happy and what makes us have fun. And so I always tell the people, like, just look back to when you're that child, and don't lose that smile, and remember what it means to have an imaginative mind and be creative and to do something that really makes you happy. And I think that is, like, to me, the yin to that yang, and putting those two together is the balance to living a happy and fulfilled life.
Mm-hmm. And also, I know that there's been a sudden like influx of questions of like, well, how do you do stunts and how do you become a stunt actor? We host every good bit of time a stunt workshop or a stunt boot camp, and you can find us on social media, and we put it on our story when we're getting geared up to do one. They are limited spots because we want to really pay attention to those details, and it is such a niche craft that you have to really, dedicate if you're going to go into it, because this industry is no joke. Like stunts, people have lost their lives doing stunts. So it's not just like a fun, oh fun, like I'll just do it like a hobby. So when we start gearing up to do those, you'll see it on our stories, and you can follow us on social media. I'm at Karate Jewels, and
At the Ortiz Experience, and we have one coming up this weekend in Nashville.
so good luck to all
November,
those,
yeah,
yes,
November
upcoming
23rd and
stunt
24th.
performers.
So some newbies and some people that already have done stunts, or some martial artists that want to learn about the stunt world. They're going to learn about it that weekend, which is going to be awesome. And then we have a big announcement for next year coming up in end of July for a huge boot camp at
Century
Century Martial
Martial
Arts
Arts.
headquarters.
Yeah.
So that's going to be so cool. So look forward to that, and we'll give you guys more information as time comes along. But
Follow
yeah.
us on social media to keep up with it. And if there's anything that we can help with, we're there for you.